What's up, you guys? Welcome back to 2740 Solutions, home of the best trained, highest paid, and fittest problem solvers on the planet. My name's Adam. I'm wearing my Powerbeats Pro headphones right now. If you guys want to be entered for free to win a free pair of these, just make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. Turn that subscribe button from red to gray. If you guys cannot wait for your Powerbeats Pro to get in when we do that 1,000 subscriber giveaway, then go ahead and check out the link below. I picked these up for $50 off on Amazon, and that is exactly how the winner at 1,000 subscribers will be receiving their Powerbeats Pro. So if you guys can't wait, check out the link below in the description. If you guys can wait, just smash that subscribe button, and who knows, maybe you guys could be receiving a package from Amazon paid for by me at 2740 Solutions, and you guys can enjoy these like I have been for the past 2 months. So one of the things I love about these, you can just wear one, let you go about your day, keep an awareness of these crazy 2020 times that we find ourselves in, but you're still absorbing that, that one book a week, that great content from YouTube, whatever it may be. And, you're well on your way to becoming that millionaire like we talk about on the channel. So, Chapter 2 of The Way of the Wolf, written by Jordan Belfort, made famous by the Wolf of Wall Street movie. Chapter 2. And we thought Chapter 1 was dense. Chapter 2 is 2 times denser. So, I'm going to pull out the whiteboard. I'm going to familiarize you guys with everything it talks about, and then we're going to hit on the stuff that is crucial to understanding before we move on throughout the book. There's still quite a few more chapters. Pretty much everything on this whiteboard that I pull up has a chapter dedicated to it, which is why I didn't, try to write anything any smaller. I didn't want to put too much information on here. We just want to familiarize ourselves with the whole system because that's what he outlines in this chapter. So with that being said, let's get into it. All right. And if you guys don't have 5 minutes to, go ahead and learn this chapter, then, by all means, go ahead and watch go watch a cat video or something that'll improve your life and make you feel better about yourself. But appreciate you sticking with it. Let's get into it. So we have our straight line here. Now, once you finish chapter 2, you should have a good mental picture of what the straight line actually looks like. With my mental picture, this is what I imagine. So we have the start of our sale. We have the close of our sale. The time that it takes you to get through this process, it's almost irrelevant because every industry is different. Every sale is the same, but the time of every sale is not the same. So don't think about time. Think about the aspects of the sale that you're hitting. Because if you forget steps, if you miss things, if you rush through it because you're a time-based person, you're not going to get the close rate. You're not going to get the sales that you should by following Jordan's straight line system. So we got the start. We got the close, we got our straight line right here. What we talked about in chapter 1, or what was introduced in chapter 1, is right here. Only a quarter of our whiteboard right here is taken up by chapter 1. The rest of this is all introduced in chapter 2. So just to touch very quickly on what we covered in chapter 1, if you haven't watched that video, check it out right here. I'll put it right here so you can go get spun up real quick on chapter 1. Don't want you watching chapter 2 without watching chapter 1, so watch that video right here. We got our 3 10s right here. We got the product, we got you as the salesperson, and we have our company. Now, those are the 3 10s that I like to imagine them as sliders, like a slider from 1 to 10. So your product, like, are you selling a 1, which would be like a soup sandwich? Are you selling soup sandwiches out there? Everyone's like, what the heck is a soup sandwich? I'm not buying that. No. Or are you selling something like Teslas? Pretty much everyone loves Teslas. You just need to go watch one YouTube video on a Tesla and you'll pretty much, or go check one out on the street, go to a Cars and Coffee, whatever. Teslas are a 10 in my mind. You as a salesperson, are you, a flaming dumpster on wheels as a salesperson? Are you walking around with holes in your shirt? Are you walking around with a purple suit jacket looking like the Joker? Yeah, if you are, you're probably a 1. A 10 would probably be the next Jordan Belfort. Maybe Jordan Belfort version 2 without the speckled past that the Wolf of Wall Street made so famous. And then the third 10 is the company. Are you, Pyramid Schemes Incorporated or pyramidscheme.com? In that case, you're probably a 1. If you're a 10, you're probably something like an Apple. Now, Apple has its ethical issues, but in general, Apple has that cult following. They have that, they just inspire that type of customer loyalty as a company, which does a lot of the work of the salesman for them. So, chapter 1 is all right here. We're going to be using chapter 1 to talk about chapter 2. So, chapter 2. We're going to touch briefly on A, B, and C, and the reason I labeled them A, B, and C is because we're already talking a lot of numbers down here, so we don't want to confuse letters and numbers, and That's how we're gonna keep it separate. So A is right at the start of the sale. It's the first 4 to 5 seconds of your sale where you have exactly that amount of time, 4 to 5 seconds, to grab immediate control of the sale. Now, there's a whole chapter, another 30 minutes of the book written about that. So the next video will be that. Essentially, you basically just need to grab a hold of the sale and then never let go of it. So you grab a hold of the sale, and then you maintain control along the whole straight line until the close and through the close in that whole back end of the sale, the follow-ups, all that good stuff. So maintain or grab immediate control of the sale. B is gather massive intelligence. Again, whole another chapter written about that. That's another 30 minutes, another separate video that will be made after this because there's an entire chapter written about it. And then C is taking that and transitioning naturally into a sales presentation that is going to ensure that your 3 10s are maxed out before you hit the first objection, ideally. Now, remember, objections are not entirely in your court, but that brings up the main portion or the main half of the chapter that we need to talk about, which is objections. Now, Jordan talks about objections throughout the book, but the biggest thing we need to remember about objections is that they are a smokescreen for uncertainty. So one of the things that Jordan talks about in the book when he was having a huge issue with his new salesmen and women was that they were getting throttled by objections when they were dealing with the wealthiest 1%, trying to sell them those $5 stocks. So Jordan basically broke it down. He took all of their objections. He filled up a massive wall with all their objections. And he said, all of these objections, they come down to 2 things. They come down to a bad time and I need to talk to someone else. So whether it's, Christmas time, tax time, anniversary, New Year's, whatever, it's 2020, whatever it is, that's half of your objections, and then the other half is talking to someone else, whether it's their imaginary friend, whether it's their wife, their colleague, their manager, their subordinates. Maybe they want some bottom-up refinement like we teach here at 27 Solutions, whatever it is. So whether it's you need to talk to someone else or it's bad time, those are the 2 basic lanes of objections. However, they are not no's and they are not bad. They're just what Jordan says is smoke screens for uncertainty. So that means they're just uncertain about one of the 3 10s that we already talked about. So let's say that they're at a 7, 7, and a 7, and then they give you your first objection. That's not a no. That just means that you are not high enough. 7s are not high enough to go ahead and get that sale. You're not able to close yet because they're at 7s. Now, that brings up the 4th 10. We're actually going to be expanding the 3 10s to 5 10s. So the 4th 10 is their action threshold. Now, as opposed to one of the first 3 10s, all of the first 3 10s, you're going to actually want to lower their action threshold so it falls equal to or below the first 3 10s. So whereas you're always trying to increase the first 3 10s, you're actually trying to lower their action threshold. So if someone comes in to buy a Tesla from me and they're a 777, but their action threshold is an 8, even though 777 is pretty decent, if their action threshold's an 8, they're most likely not going to go ahead and go through that with that sale when you ask for the offer or ask for the order because their action threshold is simply higher than the 3 10s that you already introduced to them. So, ways to lower that action threshold. Again, another chapter about this, so we're not going to get too deep into it, but one skill that he has already talked about is future pacing. So, if we're talking Teslas here, that's doing a test drive. That's driving through somewhere that is similar to their neighborhood and seeing people react to them having a, ooh, ah, that's a Tesla. Oh, wow, the doors in the back go up like gullwing doors. That's crazy. Maybe driving them to the nearest supercharging station and showing them how they get primo parking at the nearest the nearest Ulta beauty salon or the nearest steakhouse because there's a Tesla supercharger right out front. First 2 spots, maybe right next to the handicap slots or whatever, prime parking. So future pacing for them allows them to experience all the benefits of the product without even having bought it yet. So that ideally will go ahead and lower their action threshold. So let's say we've taken their action threshold down from an 8 to a 7. Now it is even with their 310s. So you're right at that tipping point for the sale now. You're even. The next thing Jordan introduces is the pain threshold. So the pain threshold is something that you have to approach respectfully. It's something that you need to use as basically one of your closers, you know? So let's say you've basically maxed them out as high as they can go. 7, 7, 7. You've lowered their action threshold from a 10, 9, or 8 down to a 7. So you're poised to get the sale. You're poised to close the sale when you ask for that final order. Let's say they hit you with another objection. They're not certain enough that they want to buy from you, from your company, they want that product. What you can do from that intelligence gathering is, you know, that maybe they're a very tax conscious person. They're a very deal oriented person. They want to get the best deal. They want to feel like they got the best deal for their Tesla as opposed to their neighbors, Bob Smith, whatever, down the street, who got his Tesla, 5 months ago. He wants to get a better deal than Bob. So you can say, hey sir, 5 months ago when Bob bought his Tesla, the tax incentive from the state of California was $5,000. So the manufacturer is not losing the money. And so they're obviously, more than happy to give them the tax break from the state. So you can say, hey, back when Bob bought his Tesla, the tax break was $5,000. But because of new legislation that just got passed from the state of California, the tax rebate is actually $7,000. However, that tax rebate is expiring in, well, let's just use, we're in August right now. That tax rebate is expiring at the end of August. So you only have 2 weeks left to go ahead and utilize that $7,000 tax incentive. That means you're going to get a $2,000 better deal than your neighbor Bob down the road. And, I would hate to see California change the law, next month when they're putting it up for a review, because so many people have been buying Teslas because it's such a great deal. So raising that pain threshold of him not buying, not taking advantage of the better deal than Bob, and not taking advantage of potentially losing out on $7,000 when California goes ahead and reviews that tax rebate, that tax incentive, whatever it may be. Remember, this is just an example. That may increase their pain threshold to a point where it actually exceeds all of the other 10s. This is the 5th 10, remember. When it exceeds that 10, you are in an even better position to ask for that order, because you know that they're both thinking on a pleasure side of the house because you feature pace them, and they're also thinking of avoiding pain. Remember, humans are pretty much designed to avoid pain. So if they're comfortable, they're sitting in their BMW, they're like, I'm in my BMW X3, and it does the job. It's comfortable. It's got nice leather. It's got a navigation system. Like, why do I need this Tesla? If you say, well, not only can you be driving the most eco-friendly vehicle out there, and the most hip, the most whatever, all these positive things, you can be, getting primo parking with the Tesla Supercharge. You can be driving through the neighborhood, people pointing at you, people doing that cool light display. You increase the pain threshold because that will motivate them to do something. If my hand is sitting right here on this table because my arm is tired, probably not going to move it, even if there's a slightly more ergonomic way to place my arm right here. However, if my hand is on the oven door and the oven's been preheating to 400 degrees, I'm probably going to move my hand over to this armrest, because this armrest is seeming much more attractive than the oven door right here, which I did when I was like a little 3-year-old. I went up to the oven, I'm going to move that hand. So you guys got to remember that. Remember, hand on the oven versus just hand on an armrest, right? People probably aren't going to move their hand just on an armrest, and there's a slightly more comfortable armrest over here, whatever. But if it's on the oven, you're going to move it. So it is important to remember, and Jordan stresses this at the end of the chapter, that your customer, you got to maintain your ethics here. So your customer should need and or want the product, and they will benefit from it, and they need to be able to afford it. So we will get into that in subsequent videos, but being able to afford it, that is not black or white. There's a lot of gray area in there where you can move from they cannot afford it to they can, because of the way that you can get them the deal, because of the benefits they may be overlooking from the government, from their job, things you can offer them because of their employment, all of these things that you can do that isn't going to cost necessarily your company money, but it's ways to help them extract more value from their life situation. So don't want to take too much more of you guys' time, but we will finish up the video right there. If you guys would like to start an Audible subscription, go ahead and check that link below. You can get this book, Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort, for free by signing up for Audible. It's a 30-day free trial. I believe you get 1 free book, so I would recommend this one, Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort. And you also get access to their free Audible library where you get at least 2 titles free every month from their Audible library. A lot of their stuff is more, it's kind of like Netflix originals, Audible originals. They have their own stuff that they create. It's not from, high-profile authors necessarily. It's more, grassroots movement kind of stuff. So if you guys would appreciate stuff like that, go ahead and check that out in the link below, Audible. Just a reminder that we are doing that Power Beats Pro giveaway when we hit 1,000 subscribers. So you can enter to win that for free by smashing that subscribe button below. While you're down there, make sure you go ahead and give that like button a tap, turning it from from gray to blue, The subscribe button is red to gray. And yeah, we will be back tomorrow for chapter 3 to touch on grabbing immediate control of the sale within that 4 to 5 seconds, whether you're virtual, phone, email, or in person. Obviously, most of us like in-person sales the best, but hey, it's 2020. We got crazy times out here. Hey, maybe you're watching this video in 2021. Turns out the Earth's flat or something like that. I don't even know. But yeah, crazier things have happened and probably will happen in the future. So appreciate you guys. Stay safe out there, and we will see you tomorrow for chapter 3, which is taking control of the sale.